So new to knitting and just want someone to show you where to start? Well, you've come to the right place. Hi, I'm SarahMo. I'm creator of the SarahMo Knitting Journey, which is a series of patterns from level 1 for the beginner to level 10 for the advanced knitter, and the focus is on simplicity. Now this is the tutorial for the SarahMo Pippy Snood pattern, and it's a level 1 on the knitting journey, and it's for the absolute beginner. I will provide you step-by-step visuals, and we will cover the basics such as cast on, the knit stitch only, cast off, blocking and seaming, just to get you started. Now the video is broken down into sections so that you can use it as you go along. Now I started knitting at the age of 5 thanks to my grandmother, and I want to guide you through this pattern in the same clear and supportive way that she showed me when I was beginning to knit. So let's do this together and let's get started. So for this pattern, you'll need your SarahMo Pippy Snood pattern, you'll need your yarn, and you will need your size 12 needles and some scissors and your darning needle, and that should get you started. So let's get started. So let's talk gauge. Normally in any pattern, it will give you the gauge, and that is the stitches and the rows that will make up a 10 centimeter or 4-inch square. And it's a way of checking your tension. Some people may be loose, some people might be tight knitters, but I'm not going to ask you to do a gauge on your very, very first project. It will just frustrate you. What I do recommend is that you use the yarn that's recommended in this pattern, or use something equivalent, say another chunky yarn, but look on the label for the use of 12 millimeter needles or US 17 needles. So that will give you a pretty good steer as to whether or not you've got the right type of yarn and the measurements in terms of gauge. So as I said, let's get started. Let's not get frustrated, and let's get knitting. Okay. Hi, so I've included some little videos here on how to cast on, how to do the knit stitch, and how to cast off. So I encourage you to have a go at just practicing some of these basic techniques before you start your snood. Good luck. So step 1 of cast on is to create your loop. So take your right hand and take the yarn over the left and bring that yarn through and pull through, and that is your loop. Stick your needle in there and pull. Now we're going to get our hands in position. So you're going to take the yarn and wrap it clockwise around your little finger and clockwise around your thumb. That is your left hand. Now for your right hand, you're going to go anti-clockwise and you're going to wrap that around, and now your hands are in position. So step 2 is to cast on. So what you're going to do is stick your needle in there and bring that loop around the needle and pull. Again, you're going to wrap that yarn around your thumb. You're going to stick your needle in. You're going to pull that yarn around the needle and pull through. So today we're going to learn the knit stitch. Down the rabbit hole, around the tree, out the rabbit hole, pop goes she. Down the rabbit hole, around the tree, out the rabbit hole, pop goes she. So bind off, I tend to call it cast off, but all the pattern books say bind off, so we'll stick with bind off. Well, what we'll do is we're going to knit our stitch as normal. So, and keep that quite loose, and note that we're doing it on the right side, not the wrong side. So that's your right side, and your cast off will always be on the right side. It just leaves it a really nice even top. So knit your second stitch, and then what I want you to do is just bring that stitch over the top of your other stitch as if the bunny is just jumping the fence. So again, knit that stitch and keep it quite loose, and then bring that stitch over the top. So now we're at the cast on stage, and hopefully you find that video helpful on how to cast on and also how to knit. But here, before we start the cast on, we're going to be using the long tail cast on method. So you need a tail here to be able to cast on your stitches. So I would measure out about 1.6 of yarn, so that you have enough to cast on stitches. So with the pattern, you've got 50 stitches to cast on. So hopefully the video has helped you with that, with how to cast this on. So you'll see that I have cast on all my stitches, and I have a pretty short tail. I don't need a long tail, so 1.6 is about right. Now, this is where the difficult bit is to start for a beginner. So you've cast on your stitches, and you've cast all the stitches onto your right hand needle. So what we need you to do is turn that needle around and hold it in the left hand. So again, you've cast on your stitches like this, and you then swap that needle to the other side, and then this is where you start your knit stitch. So as per the video, wrap your yarn around your little pinky, and then you're going to go down the rabbit hole and around the tree. So again, let's do that again. You have cast on this, so you're holding the needle with this hand, you're going to swap it to the other hand, and then you're going to start your knit stitch. So down the rabbit hole, around the tree, out the rabbit hole, pop crochet. So just knit your stitches as per the knit video, and just keep going to the end of the row, and we'll use the same technique to turn it around. So hopefully that helps get you started. So I've finished that row, so all of my knit stitches, but I know that when beginners start, don't always know how to go to the next row. So really just turn around your needles. So you've been knitting all of those stitches onto your right hand needle. Now turn that around so that all the stitches on that needle go into your left hand. And then you start again. So again, just down the rabbit hole. But as I said before, just move that needle that you had on the right hand now to the left and just turn. So, and now you're going to start the knits row again. So just keep going, and you will continue this for the number of rows in the pattern, which is 67 rows. So just keep going on that. Hopefully you'll enjoy the journey, but the rest of the video will concentrate on more the other techniques that you will require to finish your snood. So hopefully you're up and running now, and you have an opportunity to knit and keep on knitting until you get to the end of the 67 rows. So good luck. So hopefully when you're at this stage, you have actually knit your snood and you have cast off. Hopefully the little video on how to cast off has helped. So now we need to move on to the making up section of the snood, which involves your blocking and also seaming, and hopefully maybe you can try crocheting. So let's have a go at the next stage, but well done getting to this stage. So now it's time for blocking, and blocking is an essential part of finishing your snood or any other garment. It involves wetting your garment so that the stitches can reset and reset in a kind of a uniformed way. So basically, you can use your kitchen sink or you can use your bathroom, and with a little bit of wool detergent, just wet it and then rinse it out as I'm doing it here. Then what I do is I take it and I lay it on a dry towel. I have done it here in my hallway, and then I roll it up so that I squeeze out all of the excess water, and then I give it a little stamp with my feet, and and then you basically lay it down flat on a flat surface. So hopefully that helps understand blocking. Showing you the mattress stitch for your snood. So bring both edges together the whole way up. So just lay them flat and line them all up. Then take a piece of yarn long enough for the actual seam, and a darning needle. And what we're going to do is just look for the very edge. So look for that little loop at the very edge and keep everything at the edge. So bring that yarn through and then find the loop on the other side. You're looking for a little fence effectively on the other side. So just keep that nice and loose and then go to the next stitch as close to the edge as possible and pick up that little loop. It's like a little fence. Again, on the other side, pick up that little fence. Just bringing it up, so it's just that little loop there, and then that little loop on the other side. And just continue that for another, say, 10 centimeters. Just keep going. So now is the really cool bit. So grab the loose end of the yarn on one side and then the other side. And then what you're going to do is just tug that so that you are pulling that flat. So what you've got now is a nice smooth seam. And just continue that for the rest of the snood, and then I'll pick you up at the end. So in finalizing this video, I realized that I hadn't showed you how to wave in your ends, and it's particularly difficult if it's on the edges of your little snood. So what I've done here is I have taken a video from another garment that I have created, a vest. It's got garter stitch, so it's got the same technique, but it just shows you how to wave in your ends. You do it on the opposite side as in the wrong side, and you try and find a way to let the tails disappear. So hopefully this technique works for you. Sorry again that I didn't make it the first time round. One last technique to wave in your ends. So you found that you have a knot on the edge of your vest. So I would unstitch this, and don't have a double knot, but just have a single knot, and then thread through your needle and go to the other side and try and make this yarn disappear. So don't do it on this side, but go to the wrong side and just thread that through, just making sure that you leave that knot in a very presentable position, and just thread it through here. So you can get it to disappear, and it disappears into the seam. And do the same for the other piece of yarn on the other side. As I said, just only have one single knot, and then make the yarn disappear on the wrong side. So I would come down underneath that one and try and take that one again, making it presentable on the other side. And I'd come down into this ridge here, so it's not creating bulk on the other ridge. And that makes it disappear on that side. So that's just finishing it off, waving in your ends, and I need to do that on the other side, but I'll leave you to do that, and then waving all of your other ends into a neat position on your vest. and you're nearly done.
So I just want to introduce you to a bit of crochet for the brim. This is optional, but if you would like to add a little color to the brim, please get some more yarn and have a go.
Taking your yarn, wrap it around your little pinky, bring it onto your forefinger. Stick your crochet hook into the back of your snood, and we're going to bring that yarn through, and then we're going to do 2 chains, and then stick your crochet hook in under those 2 loops, pull your yarn through and pull through again. That's a single crochet. Let's do that again. So in, bring your yarn through, and then pull through again, and continue that for the rest of the snood. So you're going to do it every loop. So as you go through, it's just every loop. Just find the little slot and pull through. So just coming up to the end, just seal it, go into the last one, bring that through, then go underneath that one, pull it through, and then pull it through again, and then just snip it.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. You've now learned how to knit, you've learned how to block, you've learned how to do seaming, and you've learned how to crochet. So all you need now to do is just to wave in your ends into the seam. So well done you. So if you liked my video and you'd like to know more about the SarahMo Knitting Journey, please subscribe and ring the bell below. You can also find me on my website, sarahmoknits.com.